Hi, my name is Alex O'Keefe. Are you Ms. Ryan?
Yes, I am.
Thank you for being here, Ms. Ryan. We're here to, sorry, before I begin, can you see and hear me okay?
Yep, everything is working perfectly.
Thank you so much. And just to confirm that what is your preferred language for this interview?
English, please.
Awesome. All right. So I have reviewed the IEP and the behavior ABC data collection sheets for Jackson. Before we begin, can you tell me a little bit about Jackson and who he is as a person and as a student in your class?
Yes, Jackson is 9 years old and he is a nonverbal autistic child.
Okay, thank you. And does he live with, who does he live with?
He lives with both his mother and his father.
Okay, great. Thank you for that information. When you say nonverbal, can you clarify that a little bit? Like, does he say any sentences? Does he say any words? Does he make sounds?
Oh, yes. So he doesn't speak, but he does do vocal sounds. He does know some sign language, and he does have a communication device, but he doesn't use it functionally. Like he'll just press like random buttons on it.
Okay, okay. Do you think he possibly thinks that it might be a toy to play with?
Yeah, that seems more like what he's doing.
Okay, thank you. Um, and is your school a public school, a private school, or is he homeschooled?
He's attending public school with us.
Okay, all right. Can you please describe his play skills and some of the preferred items or leisure activities that Jackson likes to engage in?
Yeah, of course. So he really seems to take most of his time in the sensory room, playing with some of the sensory toys. Those seem to keep him busy the longest. He also really enjoys playing with kinetic sand. And again, having like an iPad in his hand, he does enjoy that as well.
Okay. Does he and does he prefer anything else besides those items, or would you say those are his like most preferred items?
I would say the most preferred items that he plays with would be the iPad, and then the sensory room really does seem to be his preferred one.
Great. Does he take any medication for his problem behavior that you're aware of?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay. All right. So we're going to get into a couple questions just about his behavior, just to kind of see what his behavior is and maybe when he engages in those behaviors the most. Um, so can you tell me some of the problem behaviors that you see in the classroom and like kind of what do they look like?
Yeah, of course. So he does show some aggression, and by that I mean that he kind of walks around. Sometimes he'll bump into people on purpose, or he'll hit the staff members and like some of the peers in the room. He also does have some disruptive behaviors that I've noticed, such as like throwing items at people, spitting at people as they like walk by. Um, he's occasionally flipped over some desks and he yells a lot. He also does do some SIB, which I've noted kind of like some head banging on his desk, or on the wall or a cabinet or kind of like any hard surface that he seems to be by.
Okay, thank you. When you say SIB, is it strictly just his head banging, or does he have any other kind of like self-injurious behaviors, such as like biting himself or like scratching himself?
So far I've only noticed the head banging.
Okay, thank you. Um, and then again, just to clarify, you said disruption was including throwing items, spitting at people, and flipping over like desks and yelling. Is that disruptive to maybe his learning, or is it disruptive to the whole class that you have to like stop what you're doing to um, intervene with him?
Yeah, I would say that mostly it's disruptive to the classroom because then the focus does need to turn to him versus engaging with the other students in the class.
Okay, that sounds very difficult. Do you feel like it's difficult for you to teach like the rest of the students when he engages in these behaviors?
Yeah, it can be because I just want to make sure, that he's okay. But so I feel like I'm constantly kind of keeping an eye on him and watching him a little bit more than maybe engaging with the other students.
Okay, thank you. And if you had to pick one, what do you think his most concerning problem behavior would be?
I would probably say the property destruction and his aggression in the classroom.
Okay. Do those typically occur together? Like, are they in one like episode, or is it separate behaviors?
Sometimes they're separate, but I can tell that, when he gets a little aggressive, that he does tend to go into the destruction and disruption of the class.
Okay, okay. And then kind of going off of that same question, we kind of covered the first two. So the question is, what are the top three most concerning problem behaviors? And I know that we talked about the property destruction and the aggression. Kind of what would you say would be the next one on your list that's most concerning?
I would say probably the non-compliance. It's just difficult to, get him to do things when he kind of has those episodes.
Okay. Does he shut down? Does he tell you he doesn't want to do it? Kind of what does his like non-compliance behavior look like?
Yeah, he doesn't really seem to be like receptive or wanting to listen. More of like an ignoring or, yeah, I would say kind of just more of ignoring.
Okay, thank you. All right. So we've talked a lot about his behaviors. We're going to kind of get into how intense these behaviors are with him. So on like a scale of like low intensity to maybe high intensity, sorry. What would you say his highest intensity or highest range of like behaviors are?
I think his aggression and his property destruction are probably the highest range that I've noticed.
Okay. And then what do you think would fall like he engages in it sometimes, so a moderate amount of behavior, and then also what would you say would be his lowest behavior?
For me, I think the moderate range would probably be the SIB behaviors, like the head banging, and then his low range episodes, I would say the spitting at people as they walk by.
Okay. Has anyone ever gotten hurt when he's doing his like higher his aggression, his property destruction? Has anyone been hurt in those instances?
Every now and then, we have had some staff members that had scratch marks, like on their arms, or maybe even bumps, like from his behavior, like him throwing things. And then, if like other peers are close by and they don't move too quickly, like they have been hurt before, from his behaviors.
Okay. Would you say that he, sorry, would you say that he targets the peers when he's like doing property destruction, or do you think that they are just kind of caught in the crossfire?
I would say that they're more so just there. I don't think he necessarily has it like out for a certain person, just coincidence that they are in his path.
Okay. Okay. Do the different types of problem behavior tend to occur in bursts or like clusters? Or does anything kind of precede one before another that you've noticed?
Yeah, so like the spitting is kind of random throughout the day. There doesn't seem to be any like leading up to it. But then the typically like the higher behaviors come together into like one episode. So what I mean by that is like his yelling proceeds into aggression and then into the SIB behaviors.
Okay. And would you say that maybe property destruction is like his highest level of behavior, like his highest intensity, maybe starts out at yelling and then gradually increases up to property destruction typically?
Yes, I would agree with that.
Okay, thank you. All right, and then the next couple questions are going to be kind of what happens before, what you've noticed happens before his behaviors. Um, so, under what conditions or situations do you see the most problem behavior? What happens kind of right before you see those problem behaviors start to happen?
Yes, so a lot of times I've noticed that when we're trying to give him like more tasks to do, or when we're having him like requesting him to do something that he doesn't maybe not want to do, that's when that's kind of what triggers him into those kinds of behaviors.
Okay. And do you think that there are kind of a follow-up? Do you think that the problem behavior like occurs during particular activities that you give him or typical like demands that you give him, or is it just like any demand?
Typically, I've noticed it when it's time to do like calendar things or reading, academic rotations, stuff like that.
Okay. Have you noticed anything that could possibly like trigger the situation? Um, yeah, sorry. Anything that could trigger the situation?
The biggest trigger that I've noticed is that when we're rotating through stations throughout the classroom, and he maybe doesn't want to go, so when we tell him it's time to rotate, that seems to be upsetting to him and may trigger some of the episodes.
Okay. And just to kind of think, is calendar part of one of your academic rotations?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Do you see the problem behavior occur when you interrupt his schedule, interrupt his routine? If so, can you describe maybe like what happens when his routine is interrupted?
Yeah, so sometimes I've noticed it, like if we are the ones interrupting kind of the schedule or the routine, but more so I've noticed it when maybe he wants to stay at a specific rotation, but he's not allowed to. Like we're having him rotate, but he doesn't want to. So that's when I've noticed it the most.
Okay. Also, do you think that it's kind of goes off your last answer? It happens when he doesn't get what he wants. So, if so, can you describe what they often do or try to attempt to control? What does he do in those situations?
Yeah, so the answer yes. So yes, he does. And whenever he like does and when he doesn't get his way, he just tries to run to where he wants to go. But then when we try to block him, that is when he starts engaging in that behavior.
Okay. Thank you for all that. Now we're going to shift our focus into kind of how you guys in the classroom respond to his behavior. Um, so what do you guys do? How do you and others react or respond to his problem behavior?
Well, at first we tried to just redirect him and give him other choices that were made available. But then if we notice that that's not working, sometimes we'll just try to ignore his behavior until he calms down and kind of recenters himself.
Okay, and do you think that the calming down, does he typically escalate when you ignore him or when you kind of like let him calm down himself? Does that usually take a while or is he pretty quick to calm down?
Sometimes it's quick, sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but yeah, we just kind of wait for him to calm down and then we kind of go from there.
Okay. Um, how do you guys help him? Do you let him just do it by himself, or are there ways that you guys try to assist him in coming down and calmer behavior?
Yeah, like I was mentioning, we just kind of wait for him to do it at kind of his own pace, and we're just there to provide him with like reminders about kind of the what he's going to get after he completes his work. So we have him calm down, reinforce that, he's going to get something out of it if he completes his work.
Okay. And what do this kind of goes into kind of trying to reduce the behavior. Um, are there ways that you guys try to um, stop him from engaging if you guys start noticing that he might be getting agitated? So before he fully escalates, what are some kind of things that you guys do to kind of prevent a higher behavior from happening?
Yeah, so for us to be able to kind of distract him before the behavior escalates, we just try to continuously give him verbal praise when he's doing the right thing. And then we also do give him some like little bites of pretzels for like appropriate behavior.
Okay. And his appropriate behavior would just be but like sitting in his chair or sitting quietly? What would you consider his appropriate behavior to earn his pretzel bites?
Yeah, like sitting in his chair, kind of paying attention, doing what the teachers in the class have asked. And yeah, just remaining kind of calm as best as he can.
Okay. We have a couple more questions. Just in general, what do you think that he is trying to communicate with you when he engages in these behaviors? I know you mentioned he was nonverbal, but communication can kind of be like body language too. So, what do you think he might be trying to communicate with you?
I do think that the communication he's trying to get across is that he doesn't like to do certain tasks that we're asking him to do, or maybe that he just simply is wanting to take a break from that activity or that task.
Okay. And do you think that this behavior is a form of self stimulation that he just needs because he has autism? Do you think that he just needs some kind of stimulation and that's why he engages in the behavior?
I would say it's not that way because his behavior typically only comes when he's presented with tasks or demands, not really at any other time.
And then one final question. Um, why do you think that he engages in the problem behavior?
I think just to put it simply, he just doesn't want to do the work that we're asking him to do.
Okay. Hey. Um, And then one quick clarifying question I did have. You mentioned you guys did academic rotations, and I know you're the main teacher. Do you have other support staff in your classroom that kind of head on those academic rotations?
Yes, there are a couple of us in the classroom that kind of help with those rotations.
Okay. And then um, is it typically the same person who runs those rotations, like every day? The same person will do calendar, the same person will do math, or whatever your rotations are.
Yes, we do try to keep the same teacher doing the same task to kind of provide that continuity for the students.
Okay. And then just one more question, kind of related to, because you said he typically has problems going to calendar, um, and you have the same teacher that runs your stations. Do you think that, or have you noticed his behavior being geared more towards certain staff, maybe the staff member who runs the calendar rotation?
Yes, most of the time it is because she's the one who is having the rotation occur. And that is what he doesn't appreciate is being like told to rotate when he doesn't want to.
Okay. Is there anything else that you would like me to know about Jackson and his behavior while he's in your classroom?
No, I would say we pretty much covered everything. And those are my main concerns with him at this time.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for doing this interview with me. I really appreciated talking with you and getting to know a little bit more about Jackson. And if you don't have anything further, then I will um, talk with you at a later time.
Yep, no other questions. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.